Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I would ask you to please stand for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation that will be given by Chaplain Brooks.
Let us pray. Almighty God, it's with thanksgiving that we come to this ceremony, thanking you for the students who have completed a rigorous academic year. May their residency be meaningful and productive, preparing them for a lifetime of skillful and beneficial service to others. We pray for students entering into this program. May this be a year of tremendous growth and blessing for them. Give them and their loved ones grace and strength to rise to the challenges before them. We pray that you would give them joy in the midst of this work, and that you would open the doors of their understanding. We ask for both old and new students that you would keep their hearts set on the vocation and healthcare leadership and on their calling to help patients in their time of greatest need. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated. Good morning again. I would like to welcome our distinguished guests, Colonel Hopkins Chadwick and Ms. Adriana Franz and her daughter, Galena Franz. Family and friends, on behalf of the Graduate School Army-Baylor Program, Academy of Health Sciences, and the Army Medical Department Center and School, welcome to the opening and closing ceremony for the classes of 2016 and 2017. I am Captain Lynn Downs, Deputy Director for the MHA program and Assistant Professor in the Army-Baylor University Graduate Program in Health and Business Administration. Today's official party consists of Colonel Scott Schaefer, Dean of the Graduate School, Army Medical Department, Center and School, Health Readiness Center of Excellence; Dr. Larry Lyon, Dean of the Baylor University Graduate School; Lieutenant Colonel Forrest Kim, Program Director, Army-Baylor University, Master in Health and Business Administration; and Chaplain Thomas Brooks, Army-Baylor Instructor. As we begin the official portion of this program, I want to take the time to acknowledge another set of very important people in the audience today: the spouses, significant others, and children of the class of 2016. As a faculty member, I understand the challenges placed on the family members in the rigorous didactic year. On behalf of the faculty and students, I would like to thank you for the tremendous support you've given your loved ones this year, without which their achievements could not be possible. Would you please stand at this time to be recognized? To the class of 2016, today marks the completion of an extremely rigorous didactic portion of the Army-Baylor program. Would you agree? For those in the Master in Health Administration track, this represents 57 credit hours of didactic instruction. And for those in the Master in Health and Master in Business Administration dual degree track, this represents 78 credit hours of instructions. These students have also successfully passed a comprehensive oral exam, which these students will also tell you was no easy task. Today, we also take time to welcome the class of 2017, sharing with them the road that lies ahead and the great Army-Baylor family that they are joining. We use this time to celebrate the accomplishments of several faculty members and students. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the Dean of the Baylor University Graduate School, Dr. Larry Line. Dr. Line earned his PhD from the University of Texas in sociology and joined the Baylor Sociology Department in 1975. He began serving as Dean of Baylor's Graduate School in 1998. He is the Vice Provost and Professor of Sociology and the Director of the Baylor Center for Communication Research and Development. His research interests include community sociology and the sociology of religion. Dr. Larry Line.
Thank you. Let me begin by asking some of my staff to stand. This is an opportunity that doesn't come around every year, but whenever we can, I always like the folks who work with your faculty and your support staff to ensure that the program that you have here in San Antonio and all of our record keeping in Waco is as seamless as possible. And it's pretty darn seamless. They do a good job. Would all of you stand and turn and just kind of wave to the folks here? Let them see you. Thank you. Thank you. Class of 2016, congratulations. You guys were great. Every year, as you know, about 10 Baylor faculty from Waco come down. And every year after that, we have a debrief. And in the debrief this year, with just the Baylor Waco faculty, they were blown away. They were exceedingly impressed by the quality of students that they saw on those oral boards. You make me very proud of the relationship that Baylor has with the U.S. military. The quality that you display is without question, and I can assure you that there are scores of faculty in Baylor University in Waco that will attest to that at the drop of a hat. We have no question about the quality of your faculty, the quality of your curriculum, and the quality of the product. You're the best, and congratulations. Class of 2017, you're not. Yet. Over the next year, you will have the opportunity to learn more relevant information than you have ever had in your life. In fact, it'll almost, the metaphor that came up many times last week was trying to get a drink from a fire hose. Drink as much as you can. This is a wonderful opportunity for you, and you're here, so take advantage of it. Take advantage of one other thing. We'll be having a tailgate in a couple of months at our new stadium, and we'll be very much like to meet you in a more informal atmosphere. We'll be playing the only team that beat us last year, West Virginia. If they hadn't, well, they won't get into all that, but if it'll be payback time, and I think it'll be a very good time. So we're looking forward to meeting you guys at that time. Also, if is John Sisk here? He may still be out there. There's a Baylor booth right outside, and if you didn't get any Baylor swag coming in, on your way out, please do, because after we win the national championship this year, that swag is going to be worth a lot of money. So you'll want to hold on to that. This is a great program, and it needs to be, because the service you provide is a great service for great heroes. And I am very proud that Baylor University is able to assist in this process. Thank you.
It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the guest speaker for today's opening and closing ceremony, Colonel Scott Schaefer. Colonel Schaefer currently serves as the Dean of Graduate School, Army Medical Department Center and School, Health Readiness Center of Excellence, the 22nd Chief of Army Physical Therapy, Assistant Chief of the Army Medical Specialty Corps, and as Assistant Professor for the U.S. Army-Baylor University Doctoral Program in Physical Therapy. He has served in various assignments to include deployments to Bosnia and Iraq. Colonel Schaefer is a graduate of the U.S. Army War College and has earned a Ph.D. in rehabilitative sciences with a focus on adult neurological disorders and aging from the University of Kentucky, a master's in physical therapy degree from Baylor University, and a Bachelor's of Arts in Biology from Nebraska Wesleyan University. He's obtained dual board certifications in orthopedic and clinical electrophysiology, was awarded the Surgeon General's A Proficiency Designator, and is a member of the Order of Military Medical Merit. Dr. Schaefer is an author of numerous peer-reviewed publications and has lectured extensively on neurological and orthopedic assessments and interventions. He is also an investigator on various grant-funded research projects to include studies examining injury risk, screening in active duty service members, and the influence of postural stability and physical performance in injured service members. He is married to Maria, a former Army Nurse Corps officer, and they have 2 children. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Colonel Schaefer.
Is that my thing? Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's what a great day and what a great way to end the week. I am humbly honored to be able to be the guest speaker for today. I want to recognize Colonel Hopkins Chadwick, the Dean of the Academy of Health Sciences, who's been a rock for the graduate school and a rock for this program. And thank you, ma'am, for all your support. On behalf of Major General Stephen Jones, our CG, again, want to welcome all of you to the ceremony today. It's an exciting time for us at the AMED Center and School as we transition to a Health Readiness Center of Excellence, and you'll hear more about that as we move forward. I want to recognize just really quickly a couple people before I get into my key remarks, but this doesn't happen, the closing ceremony doesn't happen, the programs don't happen unless we have some support, and we've got incredible support. I encourage everybody in the crowd to look out across these students. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, VA, DoD civilians, and this happens because of senior leaders who believe in this mission, and they believe in how are we solving the problems of healthcare. And so I want to thank all the Corps-specific offices in the Army, and I want to thank all the services as well as the VA for having the vision to support this. Also want to recognize Dean Lyon and Dr. Kramer and all the Baylor staff who are here today. This relationship goes back to 1951. So Baylor University and the AMED Center and School have had a close relationship since 1951 on graduate education, and it has been an absolute shining star for civilian and military organizations. We had a visit by the Army Surgeon General last week, and she specifically wanted to come visit this area because she wanted to talk about civilian partnerships in this, and she sees the graduate school as that. And if you look at the values, Army, Navy, Air Force values, and you look at Baylor University's values, they match exactly. And the long relationship that we've been able to have with Baylor University nests in loyalty and trust. It's bigger than personalities, it's bigger than people. It is a long-standing relationship, and we're just so grateful for both of you, and we're grateful for all the staff that took the time to come down, and we don't take it for granted, so thank you so much. Also want to recognize some people that are really critical to making every day happen around here, and that is Captain Williams and his team, and the Medical Brigade, 187th in the 32nd Medical Brigade who allow us to do what we do. They allow our students to not have to worry about finances. They allow our students to not have to worry that the lights will be on, hopefully, most days. And they allow us to really function on education and training. So thank you for all your support. So as a graduate school, we are focused, and we're really focused hard on producing leaders of character for the healthcare executives as well as clinical scientists. And we really focus on three big areas: service, education, and research. And recruiting, too. We have to recruit you. So those four big areas. But we focus on that, and I will tell you that this program, the MHA MBA program, is second to none, absolutely. And this is reflected. If you look back, this has been a big year. 2014, the accreditation visit for the faculty was spotless, absolutely spotless. And that's a testimony to the faculty, that's a testimony to the staff, that's a testimony to all the alumni that are in this room that allow this to happen. And also want to just, point out that the MHA MBA program also moved from number 11 on U.S. News and World Report to number 7. And again, I just, real quickly, if you could join me in a round of applause for the faculty. So it's truly an honor to share some thoughts with you today about healthcare and as you transition. And there's a dichotomy in this room right now, right? And Dean Lyon touched on that. We have a group of individuals whose bags are packed, ready to go. This is the greatest day in the world. They've passed oral exams, and they're ready to move on. And then we have another group of individuals who just finished their first week and are probably saying, what did I get myself into? As they look at the curriculum and they look at what's ahead of them. But you absolutely are going to have an incredible journey. So I've tried to focus my comments on both groups, and really this is aimed at you. But I start off with the reality of the complexity that we're in. We are in a complex, healthcare is a complex business, and I think just a couple things to think about. Yesterday's Affordable Care Act was upheld, right, by the Supreme Court. We have 16 million more people that are insured in the last 2 weeks in the United States of America. We have a GDP that spends about 17.4% on healthcare. That's complex, right? That's a challenge, and that's a challenge for all of you that are out there. We spend $9,000 on every American on healthcare every year. The next closest country to us is Norway that spends about $5,000. And we would like to say that we lead in every category of medicine, but the reality is if we look at life expectancy, the United States right now, as of today in the World Health Organization, is 27th in the world. Slovenia is beating us right now. And there's some key metrics when we look at healthcare outcomes that we are ranked 27th, 37th, 50, and those are challenges for our nation healthcare, the national healthcare, and those are issues that I know you all talk about every day. There's complexity in military medicine, right? For everybody in this room and those of you, and that's maybe what led you here. We're being asked every day, are you better than downtown? Are you better than your civilian counterparts? And that's a fair question, right? That is absolutely a fair question. And so those are the questions that we're being asked. How do we build and maintain on all this incredible polytrauma care that we've delivered over the last 14 years? No one does battlefield medicine, point of injury care, all the way back to rehabilitative care better than we do. But how do we capitalize on that, and how do we maintain that within our structure? So there's complexity, right? There's complexity in what we do. How do we maximize resources to get at network leakage? This is a question as a consultant I am asked every day, and that I know a number of you are asked who are coming from the clinics as leaders. How do we get at network recapture? How do we maximize readiness and military readiness when 75% of our youth don't qualify to serve on active duty? How do we maximize readiness when 75% of our youth don't qualify for active duty? How do we incentivize prevention? And I'm going to get at this, and if you look at the walls around here, we as an organization have embraced prevention, and we are embracing prevention, but I will throw the challenge back at all of you and all of us in this room. Do we incentivize prevention? Do we capture ways to incentivize prevention and capture RVUs to go with that so that we truly are able to capture that? Those are challenges that we face right now, and those are the complex issues that we have. So you say to yourself, wow, you painted a pretty rosy picture for us this morning, sir. But it is a rosy picture. It absolutely is a rosy picture, because I will tell you we have leaders that are coming at these problems, and the military is leading. Not just leading within the military system, but within the nation. The nation, as we add 16 to 23 to potentially 30 more million people into healthcare, who do you think they're going to look to who's done socialistic medicine before and done it efficiently? They will look to the military, and they are looking to the military. So I've got 5 points, and I promise I'll keep these brief. All right? Embrace complexity. I encourage you to do that. There's some fire in your belly when you were out in the clinic or when you were out doing logistician work or you were out doing administrative work that said, I can do better. Our system can do better, right? I think everybody in this room, if we talk to it, you all have a story of why did you want to come do MHA, MBA healthcare? It's because you wanted to make the system better. And I would tell you, keep that fire. Absolutely keep that fire as you do that and embrace complexity. There's a great quote by Malcolm Gladwell in the book Outliers. He says there's 3 things. Autonomy, complexity, and connection between effort and reward are what most people agree the 3 qualities that work has to have to be satisfying. And he goes on to say, it is not how much money we make that ultimately makes us happy between 9 to 5. It's whether our work fulfills us. And guess what? We're good in our organization about complexity, and we're good about giving you autonomy. And the reality is we've got opportunities to do this. So I would say embrace that fire and embrace complexity. Decrease the noise and create clarity for commanders, customers, and coworkers. I'll repeat that. Decrease noise and create clarity for customers, coworkers, and commanders. You know, we have leaders out there that absolutely want to learn the process and know the process, and they need your help. And they need you, and we have spent a lot of time teaching you at the strategic level and talking at the strategic level. I know every one of you last week could talk at the strategic level. The key is, as you go out to phase 2, are you going to work at the operational and tactical level to create processes and products that are going to drive healthcare? That's what you came here for, right? And so I would tell you, embrace that. Embrace it, how do you make things better, not only for the customer, but for your commander, and how do you work that? Go down and into the organization. This is your time to go down and in. I encourage each of you, as you set up your calendar for the next year, look at the clinics, look at the departments within that organization, and visit a new department or a new clinic every week. Go to the clinics, go to the organizations, and ask them what their issues are. And talk to your boss and say, I want to do this. I want to go visit every clinic. I want to, before the year's out, because people need to know you, and they want to know you, and they will trust you if you go and make the effort to spend time with them. You will be asked to do a lot of things, and your time will be very precious. But if you can take the time to go down and into the organization, you will make a huge impact. I want to share a quick story. Those of you who know Colonel David Bitterman, MSC officer, incredible leader who's getting ready to transition and retire. And I will tell you, if you ask Colonel Bitterman, hey, do you know who Scott Schaefer is? He'd probably say, I don't think so. So I've not worked for him. He has not rated me. But I got to witness something that was really powerful when I first got here. As a provider, a guest provider, since I was at AMED Center in school, I went over to do my credentials. And when I went over to do my newcomers orientation, it happened to be when we were building a new parking garage at SAMC, for those of you in the room who remember that time. And we had a number of providers that you would drive on post here, you would get on a bus, and then you would drive to the facility. So every day you parked on this side of post and you drove there. And you can imagine there were some disgruntled employees, right? And what was so powerful is I went into this orientation, and as I was riding over on the bus and hearing people frustrated, I looked at the schedule and I thought, wow, I would not want to be that guy doing that brief. I would not want to be the person doing the parking brief. And sure enough, who walks in to do the brief but the chief of staff, Colonel Bitterman? He could have easily passed that on to one of you, right? That could have been your job. He could have easily done that, but he led by example. He came to that briefing. He knew every issue. And what was important and what was clear to me as an outsider of the organization seeing it, people, within a minute and a half, he had diffused the situation because he knew the problem, because he had gone down and in, and he addressed people by name in the room and said, hey, Dave, that's a great question. Tom, I understand what you're saying. Rachel, yes, you're right. And he knew people, and they knew him, and they trusted him. Do that. Spend the time to go down and into your organization. This gets to the graduate school piece, and I think this hits on both classes. Focus, listen, reflect, think, and write every day. Focus, listen, reflect, think, and write every day. As somebody who studies the brain and loves neuroscience, I will tell you that we are not good multitaskers. We think we're good multitaskers, and so we think that our brain is capturing everything, but the reality is we shift. So even if we think, I am the most efficient multitasker, I can do an email and answer this email question while somebody's talking to me, and I'm not listening, I think I'm listening to them. Your brain is not. Your brain is resource sharing, and it's going to pick one of those two, and it's going to go to one of those two, even though you think you're capturing both of those. And so I would encourage you, take the time now when you're a student and when you're reflecting, to spend a little bit of time to put your BlackBerry to the side, to look people in the eye and have a conversation and capture those important pieces and put that into a product that's going to change military medicine. I encourage you to think about that. And again, write every day. Publications are endearing. They live forever. Well, maybe not forever, but they live a while. So I encourage you to write every day. Find time to write every day and write products that are going to make a difference. And even if the product is, and I hear this every day, well, we don't want to write that FM because it's going to take 5 years and it's just not worth it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to say, I'm going to make the 5-year investment to make this different so that Army, Navy, Air Force medicine is better. Be that person. Take that time. And then lastly, and you're going to probably laugh at this because I've been a little remorse, be joyful. Enjoy what you're doing. And I would say this, I every day wake up, and as a clinician, as a researcher, as an educator, I pinch myself every day. I get paid to take care of America's sons and daughters. We all get paid to take care of America's sons and daughters, and we get and you look here to be part of one of the greatest teams of all time. And so I would tell you, if you can't find joy in that, find joy in that, and find joy in your work, and it'll be contagious to those around you. So, outcome measures. This is what I'll end with. So what's your outcome measure over this next year? What's your outcome measure for those of you in the 2017 class and 2016 class? I know that your preceptors have told you a lot of things that you're going to get measured by. Your greatest measurement will be, will your boss or will your commander call HRC and call back to AMED Center and school and say, we absolutely can't do without this person at our MTF. We absolutely want them to stay at our MTF. That is your measure of success. And so if your boss calls back here and calls back to HRC and says, yes, we need this person, you've been successful. That's a key focus. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your dedication to the service. Thank you for being part of the graduate school. One of the most, this is a special place. This building's a special place. Every single officer and you all get to come here and you get to get education and training. And thank you for taking that time to do that. Thank you for changing healthcare, and thank you for everything you're doing.
At this time, we would like to present the following awards to faculty and students. The first award is a Distinguished Faculty Service Award. This award is presented annually to one faculty member whose contributions to the community, professional associations, Baylor University, and the Army-Baylor program are above and beyond what is normally expected of faculty members. This award was established to encourage and recognize excellence in service to the community, to enhance graduate education. Selection for the award is based on the consensus judgment of an external stakeholder group, the Executive Advisory Board, Dean and Associate Deans of Baylor University, and the Dean and Associate Deans of the Academy of Health Sciences Graduate School. Dr. Jody Rogers, in addition to serving as an instructor for our leadership class, is the current chair of the Executive Advisory Board. And at this time, Dr. Rogers will present the Distinguished Faculty Service Award.
Thank you. Colonel Schaefer said something that absolutely shocked me, continues to shock me to this day. And I say this as a faculty member, as a professor in the graduate program of healthcare administration at Trinity University, which is located about 5 miles from here. A shock is in this, that U.S. News and World Report rates this program as the 7th best program in the country. Now, I'm not shocked at how high it's rated, but at how low it's rated. Trinity is not rated nearly as high. And there's a reason for that. The reason is threefold. One is the affiliation that was brought up by our speakers already. The affiliation between the U.S. military and Baylor University, an academic institution that is one of the best in the country. And they offer that education excellence within a values-based community and environment, just like the U.S. military. And when you put the two of them together, you achieve something that is truly, truly great. Second is our student body. the best there is. Highly experienced, dedicated professionals who bring a professionalism into the classroom that is second to none. Third is our faculty. Absolutely outstanding faculty that is constantly turned over with new blood, so we're getting new ideas, new energy, and greatness across the board. The greatness of a faculty is decided by three factors. One is your ability to teach. We have great teachers. They demonstrate that every day. The second is their scholarship, and they're demonstrating that every day. And the third thing is their service to their community. What they give back to that community is so very, very important. And so as the president of the Executive Advisory Board, I'm very honored to present the Distinguished Faculty Service Award this year to Major Fred White.
Congratulations, Dr. Michael. The next award presentation is the Researcher of the Year Award. This award is intended to encourage and recognize excellence in research. The award is presented annually to a full-time member of the Army-Baylor MHA MBA faculty. This year's Researcher of the Year Award will be presented by Lieutenant Colonel Kim.
So I'll be very brief because I'll have comments later, but this year's Researcher of the Year Award goes to Dr. David Bangelsdorf.
It's getting harder. It's getting harder.
Do you want to do those? Or do you want me to do
So I've got the opportunity right now to do some special recognition. It's not on the program, but I'd like to take a moment right now to recognize several individuals that have really achieved certain things throughout the class that really go above and beyond. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Captain Williams, Lawrence Williams, the commander of Delta Company 187, to come and assist me with these awards. We are going to recognize those individuals who went above and beyond in terms of the Army Physical Fitness Test. And so Captain Williams will be presenting the Physical Fitness Badge, a certificate, and a battalion coin to the following individuals. And if I can have these individuals come up to the stage and then just line up by order that they are called on this side and then progressing down that way. Major Thomas Collette. Major Philip Durando. Captain Promotable Jessica Foreman. Major Jared McGee. Major Ty Medler. Major Oscar Ochoa. Major Mark Skinner. And Major Tammy Smoke. So very quickly, if you haven't heard of the Baylor 15 for the new class, it is alive and well. Baylor 15 is you spend so much time in front of a computer that you have a tendency to snack, to stay awake at night and gain 15 pounds. These individuals fought that temptation and that battle to the year, and they're being recognized for superior physical performance. Each of them scored a total of 270 or above, with at least 90 in each of the events, push-up, sit-up, and 2-mile run of the Spring Army Physical Fitness Tests. If we can go ahead and give them another round of applause. Thank you all. Next, we're going to recognize another student at this time, and I'd like to ask Captain Julian Gilbert to come to the stage, please. So Captain Julian Gilbert's paper was selected to represent the Army-Baylor program in the American College of Healthcare Executives 2015 Richard J. Stoll Student Essay Competition in Healthcare Management. Captain Gilbert is presented with a certificate and a glass paperweight from the college. Okay. This year's class, so all of you know this, this is a tough academic year. The students undergo a very rigorous course of study, and it's very challenging, actually. The curriculum is very challenging. This year, however, we had one student who achieved a perfect 4.0 grade point average in the class. This is even more remarkable because the student was not only the MHA track alone, but was in the joint MHA MBA program, which carries more credits with it. And so the student is Captain Kristen Burrows. Kristen, can you come up? At this time, Colonel Schaefer will present a graduate school coin. We need to get that photo. Last, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you and acknowledge the efforts of the student class leadership. Each of these students worked hard to ensure the cohesiveness of the cohort, planning and coordinating activities and events both inside and outside the classroom. There were certainly a fair share of emergencies that took place during this year. Life doesn't stop when you come to the Army-Baylor program, and these students really rallied around one another. And particularly, I would like to appreciate the class leadership, the student class leadership, for their support of their peers. So would the following students please come to the stage to receive an Army-Baylor coin. Lieutenant Colonel John Thomas, Major Tammy Smoke, Major Oscar Ochoa, Lieutenant Commander Tina Lumba, Captain Marie Hoffman, Captain Jerry Moon, Major Rob Shaw, Major Tony Bradway, Miss Cynthia Robertson, Captain Becky Lux, Captain Matt Moore, Major Jared McGee, Major Kate Martinez, and Major Ina Lee.
At this time, the class has a few recognitions they would like to present. And the class leader, Lieutenant Colonel Thomas, will present the Educator of the Year Award. This award is given to one faculty member by the outgoing class who the class feels has exercised extraordinary teaching and leadership skills throughout the didactic year. This award is intended to encourage and recognize excellence in teaching.
Thank you, ma'am. So the Educator of the Year Award. This individual truly made learning fun and creative. This particular individual brings a wealth of knowledge, and they're multifaceted, multi-talented. And this person is also pretty well known for their exceedingly dry sense of humor. So play along with me with a little bit of punnery here, as this person is also known for his humble self-promotion, as well as for his generally specific way of speaking. And if you follow along some more, I think he may know quite a little bit about flight recorder electronic documentation and fog reduction elimination devices, and perhaps framed raw expanded data. But what he's really known for is for really exceptional dedication to students. And that individual is Major F.R.E.D. Fred Weigel. So what we have here for Major Weigel is, because it's going to happen, the class of 2017, when they get in their spirit gear, they're going to put on some crazy socks. Guaranteed. So these are Major Weigel can play around here. And the real Benny here is a Spotify premium gift for years worth of service. Major Weigel is known for playing music pre-class as the intro, the interlude, and in the intermission. So enjoy.
The next award will be presented is the Peter T. Shaw Peer Award. This award is presented by the outgoing class to one of its own members who have demonstrated extraordinary friendship and leadership throughout the didactic year. Major Peter T. Shaw was a graduate of the class of 1991. Prior to and after his time at Baylor, Peter had a distinguished career, including service as a medical and armor platoon leader. Following assignments as S1 and detachment commander, he was selected as aide-de-camp to Brigadier General Alcide M. New, who later became the Surgeon General of the Army. He served as company commander with the 41st Combat Support Hospital and was the distinguished honor graduate of his Officer Advanced course. Following graduation from the Baylor program, Peter served as Chief Primary Care Support Branch and later as Chief Clinical Support Division at the 2nd General Hospital in Landstuhl, Germany. He transferred to Washington, D.C., where he was Assistant Project Manager with Task Force Asphelia until his medical retirement in August 1994. Peter was well loved and respected by his classmates, and the faculty quickly established a reputation for being a servant leader in his class. On September 23, 1994, Peter died, ending his battle with cancer. He is survived by his wife, Dorothy Ann Boyle, and his two sons, Matt and Joe. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas will present the Peter T. Shaw Award to one of their classmates.
So as Captain Downs indicated, it's a pretty poignant award. It's an award that's presented for a member of the class, by the class, who in the opinion of the class has done the most for the welfare of the class during the didactic year. It's interesting, this particular individual, I'll say if we talk a little bit about naval seamanship, this particular individual, we talk about Mustangs sometimes in the Navy, and those are those individuals who've been prior service and who, I guess the theory is that a Mustang, after having been captured, can be tamed and saddled, but you can break them, but you can't necessarily take away all the wild. So this individual has shown and demonstrated a wild streak, and it's very well appreciated. This individual has always looked out for the team and has gone really to the ends of the earth for us as a whole. And I think we've all truly appreciated this individual. And I'll just say this, it's already on Facebook, right? Ensign Owen Patron. seriously. Got a couple more things. We actually want to recognize Dr. Kim, right, as our program director, for his mentorship, for his guidance, for his dedication to us as a class, and for the emphasis that he's placed on the importance of work-life balance. And got a little something for you here. First off, I'm going to hide a little something. Well, I'll just reveal it. Dr. Kim is known for his history of breakdancing in his teens, maybe into his 20s and perhaps his 30s. So we have an old school LP for him. Spin it on. All right. And in addition, with regard to work-life balance, here's a certificate of appreciation. What we don't have that will be coming in your mailbox is in honor of your family, Andy, Michaela, Abigail, and Chris. We have a one-year family membership to the Museum of San Antonio on behalf. And where is she?
Right in the back.
Miss Pryor, if you can come forward. Miss Pryor does a lot of work behind the scenes. The program wouldn't function the way it does without her. And what we often can easily overlook is what goes on, again, behind the scenes that we don't see, but we want to really give you our appreciation for doing what you do. And this is a gift certificate for a manicure and pedicure. Woo!
We have one more. Our class is very creative, so we wanted to make the Outstanding Student Leader Award. This particular award is going to our student leader, JT. And I'm going to read this to you because he will completely understand this, or our class will. Lieutenant Colonel John Thomas, for your devotion and selfless service, we honor Spirit Wear Day in your name, Army-Baylor class of 2016. Notice the colors. The joke is, what color is it? This is before this is when we used to have 2 days a week Spirit Wear. So, JT, on behalf of the class, thank you for your
I have one more award we'd like to present. This last award presentation is the Major Michael S. Franz Alumni Award. This award is presented to the student whom the faculty deems has best demonstrated academic proficiency, leadership, and participation in class and community activities. This award is presented at the closing ceremony of the conclusion of the didactic phase. This award was once named the Alumni Award. And in September of 2014, the Alumni Board unanimously voted to change the name to the Michael S. Franz Alumni Award. Major Michael Franz was a class leader of the class of 2014, and during his third semester in the program was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. While undergoing a major surgery to remove the tumor and subsequent chemo and radiation treatments, Mike continued his studies, promising that he would walk across the stage during the opening and closing ceremony. After extensive treatments, his cancer went into remission and he completed all the didactic requirements for that year. At the end of the didactic year, Mike fulfilled his promise and participated in the opening and closing ceremony. During the ceremony, he was awarded both the Alumni Award by the faculty and the Peter T. Shaw Award by his peers. Later that year, during his residency phase, the cancer returned, and once again, he began a series of extensive chemical and radiological treatments. Even with his treatments, Mike completed all the residency year requirements and completed his MHA degree. In August of 2014, with Major General Keenan present, he was awarded his diploma at his bedside. Then, on 12 September 2014, Major Michael S. Franz passed away peacefully in his home due to complications from his cancer. He is survived by his wife, Adriana, his two sons, Alexander and Luke, and his daughter, Galena. Colonel Kim will now present the Major Michael S. Franz Alumni Award.
So we are honored today by having Mike's wife and daughter with us. Can we give a round of applause to Adriana? So the winner of this year's Michael S. Franz Alumni Award is Captain Kristen Burrows.
This concludes the presentation of awards. We're now going to present the class of 2016. Please feel free to move closer and take photographs, but we ask you to please hold your applause until all graduates have been called forward. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Kyler, Chair of our Residency Committee, will present the class of 2016.
The administrative residency begins at the end of the didactic year and comprises the second half of the Army-Baylor program. The students are guided by highly competent and accomplished preceptors in the field of healthcare administration, charged with exposing the students to daily operational realities of health services management in an institutional setting. The administrative residency is a means for students to apply the knowledge developed during the didactic year to real-world challenges within a healthcare environment. I now present to you the 2015-2016 residency class of the Army-Baylor program. Captain Christopher Armijo, San Antonio Military Medical Center. Major James B. Hiller, the Mayo Clinic, Scottsdale, Arizona. Major Anthony Bradway, Baptist Health System, San Antonio, Texas. Captain LaCharles Brown, Baptist Health System, San Antonio, Texas. Captain Michael Brown III, University of Washington Medical Center, Seattle, Washington. Captain Kristen Burrows, Massachusetts General Hospital, Boston, Massachusetts. Captain Un Choi, Kaiser Permanente, Vacaville, California. Major Thomas Collette, Wilford Hall, San Antonio, Texas. Major Philip Durando, Tripler Army Medical Center, Hawaii. Captain Jonathan Epps, University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio, Texas. Captain Jessica Foreman, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Bethesda, Maryland. Captain Julian Gilbert, San Antonio Military Medical Center. Lieutenant Jonathan Gomez Rivera, the Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland, Ohio. Captain Elvis Gonzalez, Christus Santa Rosa Medical Center, San Antonio, Texas. Ensign Juwan Hairston, John Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Aaron Harris, U.S. Army Medical Command, San Antonio, Texas. Major Jenny Hayes, Baylor Scott and White Health System, Temple, Texas. Captain John Henninger, DeWitt Army Hospital, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Captain Marie Hoffman, Evans Army Community Hospital, Fort Carson, Colorado. Captain Seung Ho Kong, Johns Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland. Captain Stephanie Kessinger, Kaiser Permanente, Vallejo, California. Captain Catherine Little, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lieutenant Commander Christina Lumba, University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio, Texas. Captain Becky Lux, University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio, Texas. Major Katie Martinez, Johns Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland. Major Jared McGee, Baptist Health System, San Antonio, Texas. Major Ty Medler, Christa Santa Rosa Medical Center, San Antonio, Texas. Captain Jerry Moon, Baptist Health System, San Antonio, Texas. Captain Matthew Moore, the Mayo Clinic, Jacksonville, Florida. Lieutenant Frank Morrison, Baptist Health System, San Antonio, Texas. Mr. Joel Neuenschwander, Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Landstuhl, Germany. Major Oscar Ochoa, Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Landstuhl, Germany. Ensign Owen Petrone, Kaiser Permanente, Los Angeles, California. Captain Daniel Prather, University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio, Texas. Miss Cynthia Robertson, San Antonio Military Medical Center. Captain Eno Ruiz, Johns Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland. Major Robert Shaw, Kaiser Permanente, Los Angeles, California. Captain Michael Siegert, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Bethesda, Maryland. Major Mark Skinner, Office of the Surgeon General, Falls Church, Virginia. Captain Maxwell Smith, Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. Major Tammy Smoke, Blanchfield Army Community Hospital, Fort Campbell. Major Scott Sorquist, San Antonio Military Medical Center Comptroller Internship. Ensign Casey Stepp, Christus Santa Rosa Medical Center, San Antonio, Texas. Dr. Kimberly Tansey, San Antonio Military Medical Center. Captain Gregory Taylor, the Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. Lieutenant Colonel John Thomas, UCLA Medical Center, Los Angeles, California. Major Matthew Tillman, Evans Army Community Hospital, Fort Carson, Colorado. Captain Ted Walker, Naval Medical Center, San Diego, California. Captain Robert Weber, Womack Army Medical Center, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Captain Eric Weisahan, San Antonio Military Medical Center, Comptroller Internship. Captain Charles Wyatt, Tripler Army Medical Center, Hawaii. The following 3 students will be moving on to the administrative residency, but were unable to attend today's ceremony. Major N.L. Lee, Scripps Health System, San Diego, California. Miss Elizabeth Harris, Portland Veterans Administration, Portland, Oregon. Captain Michael McLean, Providence Health System, Everett, Washington. Please join me in a round of applause for the 2015-2016 residency class. Thank you.
At this time, Lieutenant Kristen Burrow, recipient of the Major Michael S. Franz Alumni Award, will give the charge to the class of 2017.
Good morning to everybody. Good morning to our distinguished guests, the faculty, the class of 2016, the class of 2017, and most of all, the family members that are here, and also to the family members that couldn't make it but are here in spirit. Let me first say I'm really humbled to be up here, not only because there's 50 deserving students for this distinction right in front of me, but also because it is the first year since it was renamed as the Major Michael Franz Award. Like many of my classmates, I never got the opportunity to know Mike personally, but everything I've heard about him is very inspiring to me as a young officer, a healthcare administrator, and most of all as a person. To those of you that don't know, like Captain Downs said, Mike was diagnosed with synovial sarcoma during the 3rd semester of the year here. And although he had every excuse in the world, he continued to diligently complete his studies, completing the didactic year, and he did it again in his residency year, completing all of his studies even when his cancer came back that year as well. Even as he neared the end of his life, those that knew him say he never wavered in his courage and his optimism. And he exemplified what it means to be positive, bright, hardworking, and curious, all the while maintaining the immense respect of his peers. Mike passed away during our didactic year in the 2nd semester, and it was a pretty emotional event for a lot of us that, even though we didn't know him. And that's why I'm really humbled to be up here where he was just 2 years ago. And I only hope that I eventually grow into the type of person that people talk about the way I hear people talk about Mike. As for the charge to the class of 2016, I can't give you guys any advice because y'all have been advising me and helping me through this year. So all I can say is thank you, and just don't forget that it's good to challenge and to be challenged. We were definitely a class of challengers. You know who you are. We all know who you are. We all do. But I think that that's a great strength, and I think it's what makes us the right people to go out there and to fix what's wrong with the system. And I think it's what makes us the right people to go make our care truly patient-centered. And that's the other thing I hope that we don't forget moving forward. The patient on the other end of the care that we're giving is always a real person, and they are in the center of the entire picture. They're why we have a job, and we owe it to them to make what can be a very stressful situation maybe just a little bit easier on them. To the class of 2017, take care of your classmates and work together. Enjoy the joint service aspect of it, because that is the future of our military health system. And don't pick on the Air Force too much, even if we make ourselves targets. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't get too busy to help your classmates when they need it. And most importantly, don't forget your family and try to live in the now. I think a lot of us, if we had to do it over, maybe we would focus a little bit less on the next deliverable that was due, and maybe a little bit more on enjoying the sweet and funny moments with those people around us for the year. Finally, to both the classes of 2016 and 2017, let's honor Mike Franz's memory by charging forward into the future with the same courage and optimism that he displayed throughout his entire struggle. And let's go make the military health system a better place. Thank you.
At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Kim will give his closing remarks.
So we are over time a bit, but if you will indulge me for a few more minutes, I'd like to recognize just a few people. The faculty have worked very hard all year to make your education experience positive and valuable. At this time, I'd like the Army-Baylor faculty and adjunct faculty in the room, I see some of you in the back, and the audience to please stand and be recognized for your efforts during this year. Can we give them a round of applause? Colonel Hopkins Chadwick, Colonel Schaefer, Dean Lyon, distinguished guests, Captain Williams and Adriana and Galena. I just want to conclude with a few concluding remarks. It was interesting. This year, I had the opportunity at the Orals Board reception to give the Distinguished Army-Baylor Alumni Award to Dave Coker. If you don't know Dave, Dave is actually the president of the Fisher House Foundation. And he is a graduate of our program, class of 1992. When he received the award, he shared a bit of his story and how he was asked and competed with other flag officers for the position as essentially the first employee of the Fisher House Foundation. And what Dave said was it was the Army-Baylor degree that set him apart, that allowed him to get the job, to land the job. Dave also shared some interesting stories in that position. He had the opportunity to have apparently tea with the Queen of England, to have lunch with Denzel Washington, and spend some time with the Kardashians. So we all said, Dave, you could have left off that last part and not mentioned the Kardashians. But again, in my preparations for giving the award to Dave, I began researching a little bit more about the Fisher House Foundation and the Fisher Houses, and I wanted to share a bit of that story with you if you didn't know it. In 1990, Pauline Trost, wife of Chief Naval Operations, the CNO, Admiral Carlisle Trost, presented to Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher the need for temporary lodging facilities for families at major military medical centers. Their story, the story of Pauline Trost and Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher, highlights 3 life lessons that I'd like to leave the outgoing class of 2016 with as you move forward in your careers as healthcare leaders. The first lesson is to look for gaps in caring for our patients. Look for gaps in caring for our patients. The Fisher Foundation started with a military spouse, identifying a gap in providing care to our service members. Family members that were caring for their hospitalized spouses, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, had to pay large out-of-pocket costs for their lodging. You all know this, and you've studied this, and the class of 2016-17 will know this as well. We have a lot of gaps in healthcare today. Colonel Schaefer mentioned a lot of them. We've got issues with customer service, patient errors within our facility, and emphasis on acute care with minimal impact on the rest of our patients' life space. So the first lesson, again, is to look for gaps in caring for our patients. The second lesson that we can learn from this Fisher House story is to look for strategic partners. The Fisher Foundation is a story of strategic partnerships between the DoD, the VA, and the civilians. As we look for solutions to fix healthcare in our country, we can no longer think in silos. We need to find strategic partners between the services, the VA, and the civilian sector, and all of you in the class have a head start on that because of the inter-service nature within our program. The last lesson I leave you with is to be an agent for positive change. When Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher started building Fisher Houses, there were only 2 that were built in 1991. The Fisher House Foundation has grown to over 65 houses in 15 years, serving over 250,000 families and saving families over $280 million in lodging expenses. So be a change agent for positive change. I want to end with, again, we've talked a lot about Mike, but I want to share with you one last story before we end today. And it's a story of Mike's final days. As he was actually in his final days of his battles with cancer, we had conversations with Mike by the bedside. And one of the stories that will stand out the most to me from Mike, that I will remember for the rest of my life, is this story. As we were having a conversation with Mike, at his last days, he was on a lot of medication, and he was hospitalized. And at the last days, he was in hospice care at his home. But he said this. Mike said, "I can't make a lot of decisions each day, but I can choose to be positive." That was the one decision that Mike could make, and he chose to be positive every day until his last breath. And that is the legacy that I'm left with Mike Franz. He touched many lives. Mike was a very aspiring healthcare leader. I know that if he were with us, could have gone on and done great things in the military healthcare system. We have that opportunity that Mike did not have. So again, my charge to the class is to threefold. When you leave this place and you go out to the facility, first of all, let's look for and close the gaps in healthcare. Second of all, let's look for and engage with strategic partners. And then third, let's be agents for positive change and create a system for health that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and their families deserve. So with that, congratulations again to the class of 2016. Welcome to the class of 2017. Thank you very much.
As we near the end, ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please stand for the benediction, the Good Old Baylor line, and service songs, which are printed in your program, and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Let's pray. Oh God, again, we thank you for this ceremony, and we thank you for the privilege that many of us here have had to serve the students here before us today. We ask for those that will soon be traveling that you would protect them on their journey, and we ask for all these students that you would give them grace and strength as they engage in new beginnings. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you again for coming, and this concludes our ceremony.